First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Well, Tim, yesterday we talked about the chance for some rain today. Very, very isolated instances this morning, but this afternoon I think did prove that more than likely at least 30 to perhaps 40% of us did see at least some rain if you were out and about at all here today.
Yeah, I even saw some students at about noon, and they were, I guess, waiting on a bus, and were drenched. I mean, a mile east of them, they would have been fine. A mile west of them, they would have been fine. But that's why it is, I think, helpful when we can at least say, hey, there might be some showers out there. But I mean, admittedly, both of us were still kind of iffy about it yesterday, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Now, of course, you were here late last night. You saw that band coming toward the coast. Mm-hmm. And it does look like it came to the coast, fell apart, but then that boundary kept working west and ignited with some heat. Looks like there was even a brief downpour over the last hour, maybe just near Oakleaf.
Yeah, on the west side there. Yeah, even when I came into work today, kind of coming down from the airport, I pretty much hit the Trout River and immediately rain shut off, like someone turned the faucet off. The sun was out and it was, over as quickly as it had come through. So isolated instances of some rain here today. Overall, though, it looks like the rest of our evening should be pretty dry for any folks who maybe going out to the Clay County Fair or, just any outdoor plans. Should be looking pretty good. You can almost see exactly where that boundary is coming in. So western Clay, Duval, Nassau County, you can kind of see where that collision area is. But it's been pretty dry. We don't have a whole lot of low-level moisture, Tim. So the dew points did come up some that, perhaps helped in seeing some of those showers today. But especially for western areas who have seen those lowest dew points the last several days, going to be tough for any of them to see anything here today, which we don't anticipate.
You can see that stronger Gulf Coast sea breeze that's still well to the west. I find it interesting that the strongest boundary we're seeing there is over the Atlantic, and sure enough, when you were showing radar, you could still see a pretty good cluster of shower activity out there, but that should stay offshore tonight and head off to the east and northeast, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So the rest of this evening should be quiet, dry. If anyone's got any plans out there, we're in the 70s right now.
Jumbo shrimp.
Oh, the Jumbo Shrimp? Yeah, playing tonight. Is that a 7:05? Mm-hmm. So, if you're going over to VyStar Ballpark,
you're Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday.
If you're thirsty, yeah.
Andy, I know, our digital producer back here loves a good hot dog and a cheap beer out there on Thirsty Thursday.
And is it even fair to call him just the digital? I mean, he does it all. Like, this is, like, folks, you can't tell, but we now have what are called IFBs, so we can actually hear what's going on. Yeah. And, that's kind of like engineer stuff. It's like beyond digital. I'm impressed.
He's essentially like our manager. That's kind of what he directs us to where we need to be.
The way we look and sound professionally is up to him. So maybe even more than just our manager.
Yeah. Well, we're going to switch gears up here at least a little bit now. Meteorologist Robert Speta, he put a lot of work together into kind of putting a story together that's going to air in either the 5 or 5:30 on First Coast News later this evening. But the trivia question for the day, Tim, and I know you and Robert talked about this a little bit.
Yes.
I wasn't really as much a part of the conversation, so all of this is generally new to me. But the highest wind speed ever accurately measured took place on April 10th in 1996. So what was that? That was 28 years ago. Mm-hmm. How high was the wind? Now, I know you guys discussed it. But
now to me, and maybe we're going to get onto this, to me what was very interesting was where they measured it. But okay. Let's go with the numbers for now. What do you think?
My guess is going to be 253.
Boom.
Am I right?
You're right on.
Okay, yeah, because I'm thinking, I know there have been winds recorded above 200.
Right.
Especially in some tornadoes. 300, I don't know if I've ever heard of that, unless if it was like real high altitude, but even that seems a little bit of a stretch.
And that's another interesting thing. So this included altitude. Now this measurement, Robert told us, was actually at sea level, and there you see the answer. But no, so now this is any wind-related storm at any altitude.
Okay.
So there you see the location, but that gets, at least to me, to the other point. That as a meteorologist, but even as a young weather freak, we all would hear about where? Mount Washington, right?
Yeah.
And evidently, and that is at altitude. What remember the height that is? 4,000?
I mean, it's the highest point east of the Mississippi.
Yeah,
That's what,
so it's
all I
getting
know.
up toward 5,000 feet.
Yep.
Which is high.
It's
but
above
of
the
course-
tree line.
But of course, as we know as meteorologists, the higher up you get, the higher the winds are.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always felt like that was almost an unfair. Like, what if we had an anemometer at Pikes Peak,
Yeah.
at 14,000 feet? I bet we'd have higher winds. But this is actually at sea level because of Tropical Cyclone Olivia back in 1996. Evidently, Chevron owns an island out there.
Okay.
And so not a lot of people beyond the workers, but their gear, because I think that's another thing that happens is that first of all, that gear has to be in just the right place and just the right time, but then it also has to handle the wind. I remember when we moved to Corpus Christi, Texas, which was a year after Celia hit, and I think even to this day, when they say what were the highest winds for Corpus Christi, it's estimated at over 160 because at Corpus Christi their anemometer was sustained 120 and higher gust, and then it blew off the roof.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we really don't know what the highest winds were when Celia hit.
What was that, Andy?
I have the surprise.
Okay. Apparently, Andy has a surprise for us.
Okay, is that coming up now? Oh wow, Mike Pringley.
Hey, what's up? Good to hear you. See you. How y'all doing?
Folks, Mike Pringley is actually running
Wow.
and talking.
Yeah.
And listen, and you can tell this is live because you can hear him on the deck. Have you run on this deck before,
yeah.
Mike? It's not going to collapse, is it?
No, it's all good. We're in Rivertown right now, and look at all the beautiful river.
Okay, so you're in Rivertown. So you're on the east banks of the St. Johns.
Yeah, just a little north of Orangetown.
Gotcha.
And
Hey.
I'm glad you wore a bright blue hat and bright pink T-shirt because we were afraid we were going to lose you out there along the river.
Yeah. Hey, we've got beautiful weather. I just called in to say hi, and you do a great job. I'm a big fan of yours.
We are a fan of. Oh, look at the
Wow.
beautiful cypress. Hey, Mike, we got a meteorological question because we're still wondering, beginning to see some
Yeah.
clouds. Do you think that maybe the few showers left that you might get something develop on the east banks? Maybe get a little east bank St. John's sea breeze come in against the little stuff trying to come in from the east?
Yeah, well, you know me, I'm carrying a little dew point meter here, a little anemometer, and I think the drier air moved in, so I don't think we're going to see any more.
All right.
In fact, I think it's the dew points I wanted to talk to you about. Now that we have lower dew points moving in for the weekend, I'm thinking we're going to have a forecast. What do you guys think?
So I think the interpreting what he's saying is almost tougher than the weather.
Yes.
That is
Now I can stop it.
that is a beautiful shot, Mike.
Soaking up the
Yes.
sun.
And I love the shirt. You know, that's a great marathon right there.
How's that? Better?
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. So
Okay.
so
All right,
Mike,
so I
so
stopped
you
running.
Mike, you do not think we're going to get any more showers coming up against the east banks of the St. Johns?
Not seeing that right now,
All
Timmy
right.
D. In fact, we're seeing some fragmented clouds there. You see up toward there? So you see the clouds aren't building anymore like we saw earlier this morning.
All right.
So if you know, we had that vertical development, higher dew points, and now we're getting a much drier breeze, it looks like, coming in here. So I think we're done with the rain today, but of course the front we've been showing, that's coming tomorrow, and that'll bring us maybe an hour or less of a hit or miss showers by late day.
Okay, we're going to put you on the spot because even with amongst the weather team, we're having a hard time deciding tomorrow. Do you lean more toward only 40% of us getting a shower, or more toward 60% of us?
Oh, definitely 40%.
Okay.
Yeah, that front's it's moisture starved, so to speak. It's not like after you've been running, like I have been for 3 miles, and
You're moisture starved?
Gatorade. So I'm moisture starved like the front, and yeah, the front doesn't have enough juice to it tomorrow, so it's not going to be a huge deal. No severe weather. We deserve a break. It's been a busy here on the St. John's lately with that severe weather, as you know.
Well, I know that Ross and I both respect how definitive you are in your forecast. Now, I'm going to come off the topic, and then after this, Ross, I will shut up in case you want to say anything. But Mike, I have to tell you, as you know, well, for whatever reason, my pace can't really keep up with you anymore. But I have to tell you, there's somebody on your wings. Ross Muma ran a 7:03 mile this morning.
I did.
Okay, that's very impressive,
Yeah.
Ross. I think we'll have to run the gate next year together, and it should be fun. But once I come down that bridge, as Tim knows, I'm very competitive, so I can do a 6.5. I think.
Oh, yeah, you'll just knock him right off the
You guys
bridge.
you know me, yes. In fact, I beat a Kenyan once. I actually raced against a Kenyan, and if I get in my groove, there's no stopping me. Doesn't matter if it's the all-star Kenyans, but basically, he pulled a hamstring. As I ran up next to him, I think I scared him, and he pulled a hamstring, and he had to drop out. So I won that race.
It's not often you can say you beat a Kenyan. That is for sure.
No, I think the biggest thing is, can we get Anthony Austin at that exact same pace as the two of us? I think that is the larger feat.
Well, Anthony's a
on here.
great guy to run with. In fact, it's funny you should mention Anthony because we've done runs out here in Rivertown together.
Oh.
And Anthony and I, we talk about philosophy and the finer things in life when we run. So we're talking about paces closer to 12, 13, 14 minutes. But as I tell Tim, slower paces are good for you too because that builds up the knees. So Anthony's perfect. So Anthony and I do try to do some runs, and I can't wait to run with him again.
Mike, thanks for joining us. One last question. If people want to go where you are, is there a running trail you run on the side of a road?
This is a running trail, Rivertown,
wow.
Riverfront Park in Rivertown. Beautiful trails, goes in the woods. So this is kind of a nice spot, especially in the summertime. So you see these nice big oak and shade trees, and you got the river view here. So basically, this is kind of my little hidden secret out here. So I really thank you guys for having me on your show, and we'll have some running updates here soon. Okay, so
We expect plenty. Yes, you can be our human recon man.
There we go.
Okay, well, keep your head up. Enjoy the weather, and steps are steps. Doesn't matter how fast you go, steps are steps. Just get it done and have fun in the sun. I'm going to get back to my run now.
All right, stay hydrated, Mike.
Take care, Mike. Wow, Andy did have a little
That
surprise
was a good
for us
surprise.
there.
That's
Yeah, it
complicated.
was.
How did he do that?
And to have someone out there to give us
Yes.
a firsthand account of what they're seeing weather-wise.
We could hear
can't
him,
beat
and
that.
wow,
It's like having a storm spotter out there on the road.
no kidding. Who needs a truck?
Really. Andy, I don't even know what graphics I have next.
Oh, there it is. The anemometer spinning. Oh, now
Okay.
Ross has some numbers here for us.
Yes.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah,
Wow.
so this, I put this together yesterday. This is completely kind of changing up the discussion here. But so these were the tornadoes through 2024 just within the first 3 months. So January, February, March. So just kind of take a look.
So last year through March, basically.
Yeah, so from
Gotcha.
January 1st of 2024 through March 31st of 2024, Florida actually led the way with 30.
Wow.
So that was through the first 3 months of last year. Now we're going to speed it up to the first 3 months of this year. Almost 200 more tornado reports. Florida only at 4. And then you look, really, I mean, the Mississippi kind of Delta and Mississippi River Valley, and then Dixie Alley, which we often dub, Mississippi, Alabama. It has been a hotbed.
What a shift.
For severe weather through the first 3 months. You can see Mississippi taking the top spot there at 78. And then these are just the tornadoes so far in April of this year. So this would get added on to whatever that was, that 354 tornado reports in the first 3 months, another 158 now. And again, kind of that same area. Florida's only got 1. Georgia has 7. Most of those, though, are not around the first coast. The Ware County tornado earlier this week was the only one for our area. So, I mean, Missouri, Mississippi, Illinois taking the top spot here so far this month. So just kind of to show how active it is. In the last 15 years, I think we're in 3rd.
Wow.
For the most,
And my guess is, just by looking at the geographical shift, that is from a big bullseye over Florida at the beginning of last year to now more toward Dixie and up toward Illinois this year, that my guess is that not only has there been a geographical shift, but the percentage of those that were, what do we call, significant tornadoes or EF2 plus,
Yeah.
I bet was higher also.
It was much higher. Yeah, I don't have that data, but where I went for all this information, Storm Prediction Center, it's available to the public. It'll also break it down which ones were thought to be EF2 or higher. So reason I wanted to show that is because there is another storm system, yet again, dropping down across Memphis, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama here later this afternoon and especially into the evening hours. So They have a slight risk of severe weather yet again. It actually extends as far east as Atlanta. And that very same storm system will eventually, Tim, reach us tomorrow. You heard Mike Prangley talk a little bit about it. He's much more definitive on just the 40% coverage for rainfall tomorrow.
I think give him credit. He swung.
Well, and I will say it's been pretty consistent, at least over the last several ones, for southeast Georgia, not having much, if any, rain tomorrow. It does kind of look like until you get down towards I-10 and then further south, that's when things would perhaps develop. But latest run here, this is the IBM or the graph model, really not showing anything.
No,
so that is
a lot less.
Completely locked in with what Mike said there. But nonetheless, Storm Prediction Center still does have us in a marginal risk of severe storms. So I think at the very least, we see some scattered showers. At the most, maybe 1 or 2 isolated storms, Tim.
Here's what I'm going to be watching for very closely tomorrow morning, Ross, and that is, and you could even see it briefly in your model, that there's going to be an outflow boundary that's going to blow out of that line of storms tonight, right?
Yeah.
And that if that outflow boundary is south of Duval by, let's say, 9 tomorrow morning, then I'm going to agree with those lower numbers. If that outflow boundary is still north of Duval, then I'm going to lean a little more toward what we're thinking is maybe more towards 60%.
Because when that would drop south, it would be during the peak heating.
Right.
A little bit of extra
and
instability.
Still have some moisture to work with, right?
Yeah.
But if it's already south of Duval by 9 in the morning, then yeah, to me, then that next maximum is going to be well off to the east and southeast.
And I think I do have, this is the exact same model I had just showed. So yeah, kind of just a zoomed in picture showing the same story. So perhaps we're maybe a little aggressive on the overall rain chances tomorrow, but
I think the picture you're showing people is certainly the timing we feel good about, but the overall picture of the farther to the north or northwest you are, the less of a chance, right, tomorrow afternoon of a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Whereas the more to the southeast, then
slightly better chance for some
higher
rain.
risk, yeah.
So we'll continue to kind of update that here over the rest of tonight and into tomorrow. Key takeaway then after that, we got a beautiful weekend here across the First Coast, Tim. I mean, low humidity, dry skies, comfortable temperatures here as well. And then looking ahead to next week, we got a big warm-up on the way back into the upper 80s. Tim will have all the details on that coming up on First Coast News at 5. But for now, we're going to send it, not back to whatever I guess the programming was. We're done here, I guess. Right, Tim?
We actually get to go to 422.
You said 420, Andy.
422.
He actually said 422. You know,
What?
as an old man, my memory's getting worse, but
I was trying to do such a good job.
You were.
I mean, I was like looking over. I'm like,
You
I'm
were
going to get
cranking.
this.
but we still so since we have time,
I'm crushed right now a little bit. I thought I was so locked in.
what we feel confident about, folks, is the time because I can look at it. But it will not rain this weekend. It will not rain on Monday. And notice that 10% Tuesday. So the guarantee, Ross, is that front will come in Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, right? But once again, it's another front where it's going to have it's relatively strong front considering the temperature gradient and contrast, but there's just hardly any moisture with it. Then the same thing for Thursday. So if you have outdoor plans for Tuesday, especially for Thursday, this far out, I'd say you're fine that iffiness would be real late Thursday or Thursday night when yet another front drops into the area.
Yeah, and this is in major contrast to what we had last week, Tim, where not only was it really hot, but we also had a ton of, high humidity and, high dew points.
Were way up there, right? Like, for instance, this week, Tuesday, maybe 88 degrees, but the dew points will probably be in the 50s when we start the day. So nothing like last week.
So a little bit of a dry heat, perhaps, there Monday and Tuesday. So get outside, soak up the sun, some good pool or even perhaps a beach weather.
Oh, yes.
Especially with winds out of the west there.
Yes, indeed.
Monday and Tuesday, some good surfing for you, Tim. Hopefully.
Actually, speaking of surfing, I only have 14 seconds left. Tomorrow morning, because we still have some of it as swell from the winds we had, tomorrow morning, I will be doing some research for you.
All righty.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, get back to us.
Yes.
Surfs up, folks. Take care.
Oh, he's still...